Is Fanatec dying or just struggling? Find out right here, right now. Welcome! You're watching Rom, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing and our regular news roundup, our weekly sim racing news. Thanks to all those who come here often, especially those who subscribe, and even more, our patrons. My name is Serta and I will be your host for this video. We have a lot of news this week, once again, but the dominating news have to come from Landshut, from Fanatec. They are not good news and we'll report all we know about them later in the video. Remember that next week, Saturday, we'll commentate the Drive for Dean endurance race. 6 hours of Assetto Corsa competizione in Spa, honoring Dean Height and collecting donations for the Macmillan Cancer Support. Saturday, 4th of May, from 7 PM CET on. 170 drivers in 69 teams. As tends to happen, no sooner did BeamNG drop an update that they dropped a hotfix for it, fixing multiple bugs in the vehicle, like the Gavril not being able to load up logs, which were one of the most important updates for that truck. Oops. As well as a lot of issues with the Ibishu BX, as well as some assorted typos. We wonder what happened there, so many easy bugs slipping through in this update that doesn't normally happen to the BeamNG developers. Also, a couple of bugs got resolved on some of the levels and the user interface, nothing to write home about. Sure, the career mode also got a lot of bugs fixed. There's a reason why it was released as early preview. The skill cards are easier to click now, you can give back trailers when you have delivered them, the milestones don't break the game anymore, and other assorted bugs. And if you had issues when using the Vulkan renderer, these should be solved by now. At least they hope so. Rennsport is moving on their work towards fulfilling the roadmap. See the link above for the news about it. The newest 1.8.3 version brings new default setups, while the tire compounds have been, in their words, reworked. You will notice the tire pressure reads about 2.5 bar, which would be bonkers in real life. They are addressing an issue in the physics and will change that reading in a future patch. For now, they want you to know their 2.5 means 1.7 to 1.8 bar in real life numbers, which normally is the ideal pressure you want to get after the tires are warmed up. They finished their posts on their Discord with a list of known issues. The link in our description is to the posting in their Discord, as we are not aware they have published that information anywhere else. Saber have announced MudRunner VR, which seems to be a specially VR made version of the popular MudRunner game with new environments, but the information by Saber is a little muddy, if you pardon the pun. They talk about the classic MudRunner experience, but on the other hand, they talk about a new adventure. We'll try to find out more and we'll report back if we do. It also seems to be a Meta exclusive, as for the time being it's only available for wishlist on the Meta app and is planned to support the Quest 2 and 3 and the Quest Pro. Expeditions, which, truth to be told, we haven't touched since what seems forever, got a third update this week. From now on, free roam expeditions will be unlocked after doing the first expedition in the region, and a compass has been added to the HUD, which can be turned off. Rewards and requirements for the side quests can now be seen on the map. Any completed expeditions are shown as such in the map, and the list of expeditions has been made better by highlighting the blocked ones and putting newest expedition first. Also, you can skip the minigames. I liked those, but I know I'm in the minority here. It seems the achievements had some issues, with some being lost, others partially lost, and so on. I know there's achievements miners out there, so you may want to check the list following the link in our description. Regarding gameplay, the metal detector only shows existing upgrade zones. The garage has been reworked so you can see and choose the trucks better. Some other assorted bug fixes and added sounds complete this update. Simocube are continuing their expansion. At least we hope that's the reason they have so many open positions. This time they are searching for a head of procurement, an incredibly important position for an engineering company as they are. iRacing have once again dropped an update, this time a hotfix for the third patch of Season 2. Yeah, quite a mouthful. This hotfix brings better particle graphics and now lets you see rain in the race when you come directly from practice. GT3 and TCR cars as well as the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup will all get vehicle damage fully repaired when in pits. Oh boy, the news we get from Fanatec are painting a less than rosy picture for the company, as they are doing steps to restructure themselves under the protection of a specific German and EU law set up for companies struggling. But let me recap so you are able to get the whole picture. The facts as we know them are: in May 2023, Ender publishes a correction of their numbers for 2022, showing lower earnings than initially reported due to recording their US taxes incorrectly, as well as re-evaluating their inventory. Yeah, that's a thing, because at the end of the day, what you have in storage has value, although, like it would happen to you if you'd check the value of your stuff in storage, Ender's stuff was of less value than they thought at first glance. No, your 5-year-old G29 is not worth more than when you bought it. Don't kid yourself. In August 23, while reporting expected revenue numbers in line with their budget, Ender reports a decline in revenue, which in human terms means we sold less than last year, but we were expecting that, which is good news inside bad news. In September 23, the company got a new chief financial officer, and while it was reported the old CFO would not renew his contract after December 23, the financial responsibilities of Ender went to the CEO almost immediately, which seems to show that as of September 23, the outgoing CFO was already out by all means but the paper of his contract. In October 23, Ender has to correct the earnings forecast for the running year as production delays, delayed licensing of products, quite possibly by Sony, and higher transportation costs have to be taken into account. Again, translated for us humans, Fanatec is not producing as much as they want. Some licensed products they expected to have already released have not been released yet, and all the sad hula-baloo around the world makes shipping their products around more expensive than they had expected to be. They have to do the same 1 quarter later in January 2024. As we all know, the world is not a better place, people are buying less. In February of this year, the chairman of the supervisory board resigns and no information is given about why he's doing so. Let me explain a supervisory board to you. All publicly traded companies have a supervisory board which double checks what the chief officers, aka the bosses, do. For all too many companies, the supervisory board is just a bunch of old men, and sometimes a woman, getting a belated paycheck for sitting together once a quarter, drink some tea or whatever else they drink, and accept what the bosses tell them, then back to your cozy home and the country club after cashing in that check for doing next to nothing. In many countries, this is where you'll find politicians after they've done the company's bidding in parliament and especially in government, but I digress. This is not a lecture in systemic corruption in the Western world. As we'll see later in the year, Ender's supervisory board is not that kind of group. But it's very strange there is only the note about the chairman resigning immediately with absolutely no further information given, which leads us to speculate he decided he had had enough of Ender's bullshit. Or not. pure speculation on our part. Now things are speeding up. In March of this year, Ender gives out the communication they are negotiating a standstill agreement with the lending banks regarding the existing loans, followed up later on the same day by the news that the CEO Thomas Yakamaya had been dismissed active 2 days later at the end of the same week. Subsequently, after the long Easter weekend, the standstill agreement is confirmed, giving Ender so-called bridge loans until the end of June. This agreement came with strings attached with neither parties disclosed. 9 days later, Andres Ruf is appointed by the supervisory board as Chief Restructuring Officer, which means Fanatec will be trimmed to fit whatever the strategic direction may be under the guidance of a yet-to-be-decided CEO. Wait for it. 4 days later, the same Mr. Roof is appointed CEO of Ender, meaning whatever the CRO deems needed is what is going to be the strategic direction of the company. This already had us go, Not only is almost no information given about Mr. Roof in Ender's public communication, it basically means Mr. Roof will be restructuring the company all by himself, so to speak. We also don't know if he was found by the supervisory board or if he was somebody the banks insisted on having on that position. And this has not to be something bad per se, although it gives basis to think Ender is in a position where the banks could force them strongly recommend they take a very specific person as CEO. Depending on how the relationship is within the banks and the supervisory board, amicable versus contrarian, this can be very well a good thing. I've seen companies saved by a CEO the bank recommended who was spot on for what the company needed to survive, but it's still very strange that Ender is giving almost no details about Mr. Roof or his past engagements. Call me a cynic or whatever other names you want to use, but I'm always suspicious when most information is withheld from the public other than what is absolutely necessary by law. Or, in other words, I see smoke, I'll start looking for the fire. And we've arrived at this week. The company is looking for outside money, looking for investors, and using the protection of a German law, Staruk, which is meant for companies that are struggling but not yet broke. Let's be clear here. Ender Fanatec are a struggling company for sure, or they would not need a restructuring officer appointed CEO or at all. The banks would have no problem with them and would not be able to force the old CEO out, and they would not need the procedures in place within EU and German law that help a company regain stability and help it restructure itself. But according to the data we have, they are not broke. They are changing things within the company and within the frame of existing laws to continue working and to not go broke. And yes, if you ask nicely, I'll pronounce the full name of the law someday so you can grin at those German words, because the name of the law is really a mouthful. Back to Fanatec. Its bosses expect the need for about 25 million euro by October 2024 for the company to be able to continue functioning as is, to be able to pay all their bills and other financial obligations. And they may sell shares of the company with the implication that Thomas Yakamaya is going to sell some or all of his shares. Although, based on the current price of the share and the fact that the Staruk law allows shareholders to be deprived of any rights, we don't expect them to release those into the open market. How is different to what Motorsport Games is going through right now? Well, in some ways a lot, in some ways not. Clearly, as did MSG, Fanatec bit more than they could chew, expecting the sim racing market to continue the path it had taken since 2019, which clearly it would not. As to when, we ourselves did not expect it to dry up so fast, but were thinking about 2024 to 2025, so we weren't that far off. The main difference between Fanatec and MSG is that Fanatec expects a revenue of well over 100 million euro, which is an increase from last year, with gross earnings of about 23 million euro. This is before paying interest on loans, paying taxes and doing other financial stuff that needs to be done. According to how they expect this year to go, they do expect to end this year with a profit, however small it may be. MSG, on the other hand, is burning through their pitiful reserves faster than an LMDH through fuel, while still owing a metric ton of money. Fanatec is struggling motorsport games on their deathbed.